I decided to do a video in the dark just to be able to get some stuff off my chest. And really, I'm sharing this to the Lord mainly. I've just been thinking a lot about where I belong on this earth and how I know I am considered, in God's eyes, a foreigner on this earth. I'm not a citizen of this earth. I'm a citizen of heaven because I belong to Jesus Christ and I'm his child. So I'm not really, part of this world. I know that sounds kind of strange to some people, but it's actually very biblical, and the Bible describes us as pilgrims and as citizens of heaven, and really, in some ways, we're kind of like outcasts. And before I became a Christian, I was an outcast, so it's really not that bad, to be an outcast again. Not that I'm saying everywhere I go I'm an outcast. That's not what I mean. But I've been thinking a lot about, where I'm going to go in the next year, and will I be here in this town that I live in right now. And I've just had this overwhelming desire to just get rid of stuff, just, throw stuff away, sell stuff. I don't know. I don't really have more than what I had when I came here, except a couple things, but I don't know where I'm going to be when I leave here, and I can pretty much guarantee it won't be in the space I'm in. It won't have the space that I have right now, and so I'm, really going to need to scale down quite a bit. I don't even know how I lived in the duplex I lived in before. I don't know how I fit in there with what I own, and I didn't have a storage unit, and I have no desire to have a stupid storage unit. What is the point? I'm not going to pay somebody to hold stuff I don't even need. And so I'm just trying to make decisions wisely, not, in a fit of emotion, but just to make wise, healthy decisions, and to know exactly how to follow God's leading in my life. Not to try and make a decision that I don't need to make yet, but at the same time to plan, to have some goals and some ideas of what I might do in the future, because the future comes quick, it comes quick. I mean, it doesn't take long, and all of a sudden 5 months have went by, 6 months, 7 months, 1 month seems like 1 week lately to me. And so I'm just, just trying to fathom what it will be like to move again, and when I moved here, I didn't ever want to move again. I wanted to stay here. I wanted to stay in this house. I wanted to either keep renting it or buy it. And I just can't picture myself living here, in my later years, the years that I have left, because I feel there's no opportunity for growth here. There's no opportunity to expand my horizons here. And I know at some point I may not want to drive anymore, I may not want to be in a position where I have to drive everywhere to do everything. And where I live, you really have to have a car to do everything, because everything is, 10, 20, 30, 40 miles away. And I don't know, I don't feel at home here. I feel at home in the house I'm living in, but I don't feel at home in this community. I feel very alone in this community. I don't know that I can reestablish myself again and again and again in my life. It's tiresome. And I guess I feel like every time I have to reestablish, I'm set back in some ways, socially and psychologically, because it requires so much effort to get to know people and to build new, relationships with people. It takes so much work, so much effort, so much time and intentionality that I just don't have. And, if it was kind of came a little bit natural, if it came a little bit natural, or just, it was like meant to be, then I wouldn't mind putting that effort in to get to know people. But it's not coming natural here. It's so much work just to get to know anybody. And, you really have to be involved in something to get to know people. You have to be involved in volunteer work or a job where you're out with people, in the community, some type of church or, just some kind of community involvement. And I don't have that here. And the only thing you can get involved in here is to get, one of these jobs at a gas station or a Dollar General, or volunteer at a thrift store or, at a library. And there's just nothing going on, there's nothing going on here. And unless you have family here, you have connections, relatives, friends that you've known for years and years, you're just really on your own here. And I'm not a networking person. I don't have the energy to go out and network with everybody, or connect with everybody. I mean, I do reach out quite a bit in my neighborhood, but I'm even losing steam on that, and I'll tell you the reason is because people don't reciprocate. They want you to bring food and they want you to come over and pray with them and read and play your guitar, but they don't want to reach back. They'll say, well, I missed you, but they don't call you unless you call them. And you can't have a relationship one way. You can only take food and visit so many times. And if the person does not, make the effort to reach back, you just can't keep doing it. And, I realize some of these people are elderly and they probably don't have the energy to reach back, but I don't have the energy to keep doing it. And I'm just realizing that, this was a good season to be here. I've learned some things and I grew quite a bit. I healed quite a bit. I got, I got rid of a lot of things. I went through things in my life that I needed to go through. And I also spent quite a bit of time learning how to sleep again. It sounds kind of strange, but I could not sleep in the other areas of places that I lived in Austin. And I was coming out of some very traumatic situations in my life where there was no way that I could sleep peacefully in the communities that I lived in before this, with all that I had going on inside of my own head and my heart. And since I've come out here, it has given me presence of mind and quiet and peace to process so many things, to do writing and, writing songs and praying and organizing my life. And also, to reach out. I did reach out quite a bit in this neighborhood as much as I felt like I could, and I'm just kind of burnt out. I'm burnt out because, for one thing, I'm doing this by myself. It's not like I'm a unit with somebody. I'm not married. Um, I don't have roommates. I don't really want roommates, though. But when you're doing things by yourself and you don't even have a friend to go reach out with, in your community, in your town, then you're doing everything solo. And some people might be really good at that. And I'm good at it to a certain point. But it just gets wearisome for me, I get tired of sending a text. I get tired of making a call. I get tired of dropping food off. And the thing is I do it not to get praise or, to get anybody to, try to send me a thank you card. I could care less about any of that. But at the same time, I would like to get to know these people. And I just realized some people just aren't to get to know. They just aren't meant to get to know. And I can't fling myself on people. I mean, I'm not desperate. That's not what I'm saying. But I have really wanted to reach out to some of these people and minister to them and listen to them and just kind of, let them know that they're not alone. Because some of these people are very lonely. Some of them are really lonely. And right now, very sadly, I have a neighbor who is very, very sick. And I have not reached out very much. I have tried to connect many times, and it just never worked. Not because they were not receptive. It just, they were always going for treatments. This person has very last stage cancer, and they have family involved and different things going on, and it just never has been the right time. And I feel sad about that. I feel sad. I have lost a lot of family members, and I have sat at death's door 3 times. Three family members I have sat and watched them pass away. And grief is very difficult. Grief is very hard to sit with, and it's very hard to watch. And I remember watching my father, go through cancer. I was with him the day he was diagnosed till the day that he was gone. I was with him just him and I and the doctor when the doctor told him that he had cancer. And I was with him on the day he took his last breath by myself again. And then, I don't know, it was like 7 years later, I lost my adult daughter. And, well, that has had a profound effect on me that will never go away. And then 9 months later, I lost my mother. And my mother was my very, very, very best friend. She was my everything. And it has never been the same without her. I'm telling you, if you have a mother, treasure your mother. Because when she's gone, it's never the same. And, I lived with my mom for a while, and I was her caregiver at the end. And I was with her when she passed away, in the room by myself with her. Not by myself, but you know what I mean. There were no other family members there, and it was pretty intense. So, I've been through some really intense trauma in my life, a lot of grief and a lot of loss. Now there's a thread in my life, and that thread that's in my life was the prayers of my mother. The thread, it's like if you're looking at a quilt and you see one color of thread through the entire quilt on every patch. Well, that's what my life has been like from my mom's prayers. And those prayers were answered by God. My mom prayed those prayers, and God answered those prayers because I am here and I love the Lord. And there is no way that I could be here and love the Lord if I had not had my mom's prayers. And she was my best friend on earth. I may not have always realized that at different stages of my life, but I did realize it most of my life. I realized and knew that she was my best friend, no matter who was in my life, no matter what friend I had or what boyfriend or anything. I knew she was my best friend. I knew that she knew me better than anybody. And even though God knows me better than her, I knew that she loved me better than any earthly person could ever love me. A guy, a friend, and nobody could love me better than my mom. And a lot of times we forget that. We don't realize just how much a mom can love their child. I'm not saying that every mom out there loves their child perfectly, but my mom loved me almost perfectly. I mean, I would say she was like on the very brink of loving me perfectly. I mean, she wasn't perfect, so it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty darn close. And she was wonderful, and I miss her so tremendously. And I don't know how you feel about those kinds of things, but they're pretty deep to me. And when I think about not having, a mother or a father to talk to anymore, it is the most painful thing to me. It is so devastating. I feel like I lost my parents, too soon. I lost my mom 11 years ago, and my father I lost about 17 years ago, and it just doesn't make sense to me, I know people that are my age right now that still have both their parents. Now, I would not want them to live in the age that we are in now in this world, and I wouldn't have wanted them to live in the time of COVID and all the crazy things that have been going on with our government. But I miss them, and I'll always miss them, until I see them in heaven. So back to moving. When I moved from Austin to this town I'm in now, I went through every single thing that I owned and sold, purged, and threw away, to the point where my daughter was praying I wouldn't get rid of everything, because then I wouldn't have anything to move into a new home with. I would have nothing, except maybe my guitar. My guitar, my laptop or something. I mean, my journal. I really was almost getting rid of everything. And I don't know, as I get older, I'm not saying I want to get rid of everything, but I guess what I'm saying is, let me try to word this so it doesn't sound crazy. There are things in our life that are attached to memories, and that usually is the reason we don't want to get rid of them. Or they're just really functional, and they help us in our life. They hold things for us. and the things that are in these drawers or these, cabinets are attached to memories sometimes too. And sometimes they aren't. Sometimes it's stuff that's very dispensable and just really not that important. Um, it's just really strange because I feel like, as human beings, we're so materialistic. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that live much differently than most Americans. And they really don't care about, they just don't care about stuff, or they don't really own anything. Or they could have lost everything. They could have lost their job, went bankrupt, lost their home, and lost everything. And then they learned that they could live without any of that. I personally have never been through that. I've lived in really tiny situations. Like I lived in a 500 square foot apartment, and then I lived in a camper. Um, and I've lived in houses, and I've lived in apartments, duplexes, and all different sizes. And I think that, we're blessed to have the things that we need or we think we need, but I really don't think we need most of what we have. I feel like all the things that we have, and I feel like all the things through the World Wide Web, the internet, everything that's on the internet, social media, email, websites that we want to look at, online shopping. I feel like all of this stuff is a distraction, and it crowds our life from seeing what life is really about, or from seeing the people around us, or from seeing nature, or seeing ourselves, and doing a self-examination to purge ourselves so that we can be free, free in the way where we're not slaves to taking care of things. I feel like sometimes we're slaves to taking care of all the things in our life that are really not serving us. They're not making us better human beings. And I don't know, sometimes I just feel like, people that are on the mission field, full-time ministry, people who are in full-time ministry, whether it's street evangelism or homeless ministry or group homes or whatever it is that they do, they are probably the most satisfied people because they're not nurturing things, they're nurturing people. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about all of this and praying about it, and really have not come up with any decision. I'm just kind of talking about it. I really honestly don't know which direction to go in my life. Um, the word says to not worry about tomorrow, to not try to look into the future and figure it out. And I agree with that. And I know that God has given me the job that I have and has put me here for now. And, He's doing a work in my life and in your life where we are now. And we need to rest in that. But there is a feeling inside of me that feels like there is more to life. There's more to life than what I'm living in. And I just want to explore that, I want to find out what that is. And that's really all I have to say. I don't know where I'm going to live in the next year. I don't know how long I'll be at this job. I'm glad to stay at it if that's what God wants, but God gave us choices. He gave us choices, and sometimes we have to step out in faith and make choices and ask for Him, to use those choices to make us better people and to do His will and live for Him. And, I just don't believe we're supposed to live for ourselves. That's not the reason He made us, is for ourselves. He made us for Him and for others. And although I have a little of that in my life, I don't feel, I guess I just don't feel very deeply satisfied in the areas that I'm talking about. I feel like there's something more or something missing, and I don't know how to find that in this town. And I don't know. So if I ever share this video and you watch it, I really would like to ask if you would share your thoughts in the comments, or share your thoughts. You could send me an email and just share what your thoughts are about what I said and about your own life. And I'm going to try and put this on YouTube. Every time I've tried to post lately, it seems like it never ends up there. I don't know what's going on with that either, but I'm going to give it a try. So thank you for listening, and you have a great night.